Hello and welcome to Module 2. This week we are going to be talking about academic disciplines, or as Latuca and Stark refer to them, academic fields. This is just an overview of what you can expect in Module 2. We are moving our attention to academic disciplines and fields, and how those disciplines and fields take different approaches to the academic plan that we learned about and talked about in the first week. Your to-do list does include a good amount of reading this week, so I encourage you to get started on that early. And you will use the 3 articles on faculty development for your first reading reflection, and I will talk about that as well. I want to begin with a brief introduction, though, and a reminder of what you read in Chapter 4. And one of really my favorite topics is socialization of academics, and how during doctoral programs people learn their discipline or field, and they learn what's appropriate in those fields. So it's interesting to me that Latuca and Stark talk about humanities, social sciences, and sciences as being separate from the professional fields. Education is grouped under the professional fields. And there are other authors that have had different opinions about where these professional fields fall, but we often call them practice fields as well. And so business, nursing, engineering, education. If you're thinking about Widener, you might be thinking of our more clinical programs like physical therapy, occupational therapy, social work would be included in these professional fields. And typically, those academic areas are more focused on their practice than on the scholarly nature of those fields. That's one of the reasons it's broken out here. I would say, though, that there is some merit in including engineering, education, nursing, etc. in with the other types of fields, in that you're doing this right now. You are studying education as a field and as either a master's or a doctoral student. These fields do influence how the academic plan is approached, and so that is the basis for your discussion this week. I want you to think about what disciplines did you come up with. So, for example, I was in both undergraduate and graduate school in psychology. And so I have a different kind of worldview and a different application of my learning than someone who came up through the business school, for example, or who maybe studied philosophy. So I want you to think about that and return to Chapter 4, and then also look at Chapter 9 to see how administrators also play a part in the academic plan. You can use these 5 areas of academic fields to use as your basis for the discussions. So these are 5 aspects of an academic field, and it's what sets them apart from other fields. So a substantive structure asks the question, with what problems does this discipline deal? Right, so are we looking at the more professional study areas where we're dealing with how to best serve a client, or we are learning how to take care of someone in medicine, or are we dealing with more questions about hard science and how to reduce the effects of deforestation, for example? Organizational structure refers to how the discipline is related to other disciplines. So again, when you're thinking about deforestation, where does environmental science fit in? And really, it's in some places an interdisciplinary program where you have both anthropology and the hard sciences, the biology, the physics, etc., involved. A value structure. How does this discipline view the world? What types of things does it find to be most important? Syntactical structure then is actually how the how the field or how the discipline practices its academic endeavors. So what are the scientific methods that are applied? Anthropology has a lot of field work, for example, whereas chemistry would be very lab-based. So how do we collect evidence? How do we evaluate it? What tools do we use to do that? And then the symbolic structure refers to how the discipline communicates and expresses itself. So you can use these 5 aspects of academic fields in your discussion as well. I do also want to review quickly what the reading reflection will entail. And you are going to pick one of the 3 readings that I'm about to introduce to you. You want to summarize the purpose of that article. Please choose only one of the articles and indicate what type of article it was. Was it an investigation? Was it empirical? Was it a review paper? And then indicate the key claims from the paper, and then finally include the conclusion as well. The last piece I would really like to be the most substantive. So the summary and identification of key claims should be about a page, page and a half, and then really a full page should be dedicated to the application of this information. So in what way or ways does this article inform and influence this field of teaching and learning? How can we apply this information as teachers? And so again, this should be 2 to 3 pages. You do not need a title page or a reference page, but you should include your name, the date, and your chosen article in proper APA citation style at the top of the paper, right under your name and date. And then just use in-text citations for the rest. So here are your 3 choices. I do encourage you to read all 3 because I think that they are fantastic articles. Taylor is a review paper, and this is about understanding disciplines and fields, but also does get to the faculty piece of it and how teachers are trained in teaching and learning. The Austin paper, Austin writes a lot about faculty development, and so she's writing here about graduate school as socialization and what the elements are that lead to a faculty member becoming prepared to teach in their field. And then finally, we see Lisa Latuka again, so of Latuka and Stark from your book, and Vicki Baker, who are both, at one point, I believe they were both at Penn State, but now I think Vicki is I think she's still at University of Michigan. So developmental networks are just one aspect of faculty development, and this takes a look again at doctoral study and how faculty members are formed, but specifically looks at the developmental networks. So I think you'll find all 3 of these papers interesting, but please do choose one to focus on for your reading reflection, and contact me if you have any questions.